TV. You are now tuning in to Voices of an Artist.
Ready or not, here they come. Here they run. Here is where the wild women raise more than just sons. How dare you suggest the women have yet to arrive? From the streets and slums of their resilience lies weightlifters who create triumphant stories out of steel bars. With memoirs of truth-telling and court-sized scars, ready or not, she is the strongest muscle in any body who surrounds her. From dusk to dawn daily, they tenaciously ride on the green lawns and over the inequitable pawns that Coco Gauff continues trailblazing. These are not dolls. You cannot position one for failure when their backbones are the mere base for balancing beams. The world, it seems, is no match for an impact like Juju, Naomi, Caitlin, Angel, or Aaron Jackson. Don't be dramatic. Given the conditions, given the scrimmage, given the title for the most U.S. Olympians, how could you believe their competition was ever manned?
She's gonna beat the record.
The stats said it to be true. Ready or not, here, they've always been. But they're no longer waiting on you. Thief that's here to steal your ignorance. An informative bandit. Now hand me that back. Hand me that horse and carriage of a dream you desire but won't aspire to really see through. See you still smitten over make-believes. Wake up and smell the roses. You ought to taste the leaves and find your way back to the grapevine. Find your truth before you find your tomb and they bury you in that costume. Ain't no class clowns underground. Ain't nobody to lie to. So inhale and unveil yourself, although blackmail you and called it building character. Misery loves company and you married her. I am an interesting kind of thief that's here to steal your ignorance. An informative bandit. Now hand me that baggage. Hand me that horse and carriage of a dream you desire but won't aspire to really see through. See you still smitten over make-believes. Wake up and smell the roses. You ought to taste the leaves and find your way back to the grapevine. Find your truth before you find your tomb and they bury you in that costume. Ain't no class clowns underground. Ain't nobody to lie to. So inhale and unveil yourself, although blackmail you and called it building character. Misery loves company and you married her.
Yes, sir. Take your time with it.
America the Beautiful. Sex and racism. Currency balance the scale. While sex is perverted, racism is diverted. Or should I say, blindfolded. As justice is handcuffed, the same handcuffs that Malcolm and Martin donned. How strong is this atlas we own to carry the weight of our ghettos, the misery, teen pregnancy, corner store homeless man, holding the door, panhandling for a pint of that feel good, trying to escape and never come back here. But once it's gone, he wake up, damn, right back here.
Right.
Me, black as a fisted Afro pick, black fisted, them in the 60s drafted, some re-enlisted. Went from naturals and processes to brains and curls, to idiot box, dumbed up the smart world. Focusing on, clear your paradigm. Is your heaven blue? Is your sea clear? You see clear? The devil synonym. Blue eyes, I really don't have to go there. Master Chief, some motif stuff. Physical giants, mental midgets. Should be strong mind, strong body, mental vision. But they will always be serfs. Not the wage, the slaves who walk a mile to school with no shoes. That's my lineage. But born with a heart of a lion, self-confidence, discard selfishness, self-hatred, self-doubt, and ignorance. Chisholm, Jesse, attempted, but Rock accomplished. To the highest mountain, ascended from the lowest valley. You mighty generation, you can achieve what you will. I set up, you mighty generation, you can't achieve what you will.
What's good, y'all? This is Voices of an Artist, Bossy B in the building. Allow me to surely introduce my guest soon. And he's very important because I read a lot about him since the last time I met him. Shout out to S Rock and his performance concert, the underground concert he had going on February 10th. It was really super dope to come out and chop it up with a lot of artists that I was attending, and I actually enjoyed myself because I wasn't even there for the people always think I'm always going to shows to perform all the time. No, it's never all the time. I'm always going there to network, meet different people, and actually engage in conversations and I like to get to know people, especially if they have this beautiful mindset and craft in their business and the way they've been doing things. And when it comes to their art, everything is art to me, especially poetry and whatever you got going on. Mental health is very important, and I always to put this out there on my podcast. Always remember to use your voice. When it's something overwhelming, please take a step back, take a breather. It's okay to do so. We are human. We go through a lot of stuff. Sometimes things could be very overwhelming, and it's okay to take time for ourselves. So please make sure you check yourself, check your neighbor, check your haters, because without them, we wouldn't be us. And now to introduce this wonderful man that I actually got to know and actually read a lot about, and I can't wait to get into it. David Hoffer, hi.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Yes, you're a man with many hats. I got into a lot of things getting to know you. You're from New York City and you're also a filmmaker. Did not know that. That was very interesting. And you're also a writer. He's an author, y'all. He not just do poetry. He actually is an author. He writes books. And actually recently he came out with a book. I actually bought it off of Amazon recently. I actually got the name of it. Hold on, my name. I got the name of it. I got it on my I recently bought it. Actually, 2 weeks ago I bought it. I only got to the first chapter so far, and so far so good. But I want you to get into that because I don't want to spoil it. Because I know it's a really good book, and I'm really happy you actually shared that. It's called Moments, and it's amazing how you really got into detail with this book. So before we get into that, okay, introduce yourself, where you're from. You already told them, and tell them a little more about yourself from who you are from then to now.
My name is David Hopper, as you said. Um, my introduction is pretty simple. Um, David Hopper, born and raised in Washington Heights, um, parts of Harlem. Father, first and foremost, husband, and then all of the other titles, which is author, filmmaker, community activist, spoken word artist. Um, I would leave it there for the most part. Um, I'm also just a person of the community, and when it comes to the book, um, both books, the first one, like you said, is Moments, Writing Thoughts and Letters of a Two-Time Felon, which is the first book I wrote, which focuses on my 7-year prison sentence, the ups and downs, trials, tribulations. And then my second book, which is Moments to Motivation, which is a guide to enlightenment through essays and poetry. That book is pretty much just that. It helps individuals as well as myself. Excuse me. It helps individuals as well as myself get to a point of their lives that they want to
That's
see themselves at.
amazing.
You know, it basically helps one get through the obstacles and get through the hurdles of their lives through poetry and essays that I wrote.
That is amazing. It's very intrigued to have a gentleman like yourself who drive to live these goals that you know that you've been achieving since then until now from experiences. Not many do that. Many too busy, you know, they talk the game and it's not they're not even about that. It's just they're just trying to copy everybody else. But you've been through a lot of situations where today makes you who you are, a mentor, which is wonderful. Um, in that aspect, how is you doing? Because I don't know everybody I have ever asked you, how are you feeling? How are you doing? You know, dealing with everything and having to pursue this career at the same time, dealing with personal life and dealing with the business.
Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah, we rarely get that question, so I appreciate you asking. As for me, mentally, my mental health is pretty good. Of course, it's not 100%. Nobody is. Everybody has the trials and tribulations and the stresses of life. But understanding that stresses of life will come and figuring out how to deal with it without becoming overwhelmed. I do that by actually having therapy. I have a therapist. You know, I get a chance to talk to somebody once a week, every other week. Somebody that's unbiased, somebody that's neutral, that can give me an outlook or a different perspective on how I see the world, and that helps a lot. Outside of that, I'm doing well. I hang out with my kids, go on vacation. Definitely, I just came back from vacation. My birthday was last week. I try to really step away from the world when things become stressful. I think that's one of the things as men we choose not to do. Not that we can't do it. We choose not to step away in the fact that we feel like once we step away, things are gonna crumble, not knowing or not understanding that if we don't step away, we the ones that are gonna crumble. So I understand that and I learned to step away, pull myself away from the world, give myself that self time, that healing, that that reigniting, that that reignition that you need, that spark. Sometimes it's just rest. Sometimes it's just a day or two off of social media. Sometimes it's a day just walking in the park, listening to music. You know, whatever it is that calms that savage beast, people should do. And for me, it's usually music. It's usually just getting away from social media and writing. That's my calm. That's my peace right there. So thank you for asking. My mental health right now is I'm doing well. I'm doing well. As a whole, I'm doing well. I'm working on finishing the documentary. Uh, we also working on our third book on 5 steps to self-publishing within 30 days. So we have that in the works as well. So right now I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good.
It's good to always ask. You know, I always try to promote a lot of support for artists like us, you know, because we don't get that a lot, especially when, you know, everybody tends to put a price to everything, even support. And it shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't because we're all seeking the same thing, which is, you know, reassurance and validation in our own selves, you know, especially us going through what we go through, no matter what situation we're in, whether we're writing a song, whether we're writing a book, it doesn't matter what it is, if we're going through it. And to actually sit there and have a conversation, you know, to have an actual conversation to be like, are you okay? You know, are we good?
Right,
Like, you know, and no, everybody does that, you know, because sometimes if you think, oh, should I ask? You know, maybe if I ask, it'll be. thinking that I'm trying to pry into their business. No, I just want to make sure
That's
you're
true.
okay,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
and
so
it's
true.
okay. You don't even need to, you could always say, listen, I'm not okay, but I'm gonna be all right,
Yeah, I
and I
think that's
always
one
use
of the things
mine.
people
Yeah.
people feel like they can't. It's not. I tell people it's okay not to be not okay. Right? It's okay to say no, I'm not okay. Right? Like, and that's the first step of being mentally healthy. Noticing when you're not okay and admitting it. So then you have that chance, that opportunity to move away from whatever's making you not okay.
Yes, amen to that. Let's get into this book Moments, and then we'll get into the second book. I know you was talking about some deep stuff, back then, experiences that was just not digesting for you, but you went through it and you held on so strong. I am super proud of you, by the way. I don't know you for forever, but I am proud of you because that takes a lot. It takes a lot from what you've written and to come out to who you are today. Not many can do that. Like, tell me your experience from then and then how it brought you to be so inspired to be who you are today.
Uh, Thank you. For me, my prison sentence, for those who don't know, those who listening, those who watching, I did 7 years for assault with a deadly weapon. The deadly weapon was a gun. I had a altercation with a group of individuals who, in my mind, I felt my life was in danger, and unfortunately, I used a gun to, I would say at that point, level out the situation, right? Level out the playing field. But I come to understand from that mindset to now that I don't have the right to use violence against anyone that doesn't use violence against me. And the person that does use violence against me is still my it's still my I still have the opportunity not to use violence. I can still walk away. I can do It's other forms of retaliations, other forms of resolution, if you will, better than violence. And at that point in my life, I had a lot of anger, a lot of anger, a lot of ego, a lot of hurt. And for me, it was like somebody hurt me, I'm gonna hurt them back. It was that eye for an eye type of mentality. And that mentality basically got me 7 years prison time. And when I went into prison, I was always, I don't want to say, I was intelligent. I was never a dummy. I always had smarts. I always knew right from wrong. I was raised properly, raised in the church. My mother, my grandmother, they always gave me, morals, values. But the hurt that I that was done to me as a child, being a single parent, being raised by a single parent, being in homelessness, these things, being teased, growing up, not having the finer things in life, it made me hurt. It made me angry, and from that, growing up with that, not having a father, always being able or being ready to defend myself, it grew with me as I got older. The anger and everything else grew as well, and at this point, uh, I got into altercation, and I felt that, like I said, my life was in danger, which it really wasn't. They was just talking. I walked away. I actually walked away, went and got the gun, and came back and did the shooting. And with that, understanding that once you walk away, that pretty much the fight, the altercation is over, right? You have that option to leave, and I left, and then I decided to come back with the gun. And it got me 7 years. In that 7 years, I realized what I'm telling you now, that was the wrong thing to do. And not even that it was the wrong thing to do, but was this the life I wanted to live? And I knew at that moment, maybe like my second or third year in, actually it's my fourth year, because it was a situation, somebody asked me what would I do if I was going home that day. And I had about 4 years in, and I told them I was going back to the block to get what they owed me. And the person looked at me so with such disappointment. At that moment is the moment I woke up like, damn. He looked at me like, it wasn't a disgusting look. It was just more or less like he was disappointed in me. And that look made me think about what he was going through in his life, trying to get home. And I was gonna go home if I could and throw another break and take more chances to come back to prison. And at that point I said, damn, that's kind of selfish of myself. So at that moment is when I really start changing my life around, changing my mental state, changing my perspective about prison, about living right, living not by the law, but in, living within the law. And that is one of the things that really pushed me to where I am now, which is mentoring youth, creating programs, doing conflict resolution workshops, things of that nature, where once I came home, I knew I had to do something different than what I was doing before I went in.
Amen to that. And I commend you for everything you've been doing. Welcome, y'all. Y'all just tuning in. This is a special guest. We do a little things different here. It's not just always music. This is a whole different conversation that I love to have. This is why it's called Voices of an Artist. I want to hear your voices. And it doesn't matter what you do in life. It could be rapping, singing, poetry, spoken. Because poetry and spoken word is two different things.
Mm-hmm.
People always get it confused sometimes.
People don't know that.
They're not the same thing. Yes. And it's important you understand that poetry and spoken word is two different things. They do give the message, yes, that's a definite, but they're two different literatures. And I call it literature because they do different things when it comes to spoken word is something that is more in a mental therapeutic way where life experiences happen and the truths from the spoken word is from the person. So, and poetry is where it's like a metaphorically speaking, where emotions, you're feeling things, you know,
Right.
experiences and emotions are two different things. And spoken word is more of the experience side, and emotions is more of the poetry, which I call flowetry side.
Right.
And I myself used to write. I used to write a lot, so that's how I got my singing part of the career going because of, that part of side of me. Um, in terms of that aspect, being a mentor, because I was watching a video and you were actually expressing who you was. Yes, I really did digging deep with your biography. It's really dope to get to know you and who you are because I everything that you're doing is everything I be thinking. So it's like you're speaking for me.
Nice.
It's like you're speaking towards the justice part
Yeah.
on every aspect. So it's very powerful. Yes, Donna. Hi, Donna. It's very powerful to me because not a lot of people are being heard. So it's like for you to be that person, that inspiration where you are just speaking from experience to mentor youth. That's like, oh my God, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. And I commend you for that because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of patience and love and, and I call it abandonment Abandonment is not just, oh, nobody want me. No. Abandonment also can mean that you was very conflicted with yourself and trying to get yourself together at the same time. And it was really hard, because you was like speaking into a mirror. You were speaking to yourself to get yourself where you need to be. It was hard, it was a struggle, but you're here and that's a blessing, and I adore that you do what you do. And I actually want to play the video skit. It's really dope. Where is it? It's called, I'm gonna tell you right now. Here we go. This one is actually I love the way they describe this about you. What are incredible messengers? Neighborhood Ventures and ITM Institute. This is pretty much everything you explained, but the way I love the way they did it, it's a miraculous video. So I'm gonna show everybody this and we get into it and then we're gonna talk more. So here we go, y'all. I'm gonna actually show you guys this video. Um 3D over here so y'all can see.
A credible messenger is.
Let's start there. Wait, hold up, YouTube. Slow down. Like it's really trying to catch up to me here. Hold on. I'm trying to share this wonderful, wonderful thing here. Here we go. I'm still getting used to this StreamYard. I just found out I can actually put you by yourself to speak. I didn't know how to do that at first. So now I know. Hey, technology is a thing, right? So here
That's
we
right. We're
go.
learning as we go.
Yes, so I'm gonna share y'all this YouTube little screen. Here we go. You guys can see it, right? We good? All right, because sometimes this is tricky. But here we go. Let me mute myself because it's gonna echo. Hold on one second, y'all. Info. Let me get this.
A credible messenger is someone who's acknowledged in a community and respected. They are known for doing positive things, possibly change their lives around, but they have something to offer you that could prevent you from ending up making the wrong decision.
Credible messenger, in my opinion, would be somebody that is in the community, from the community, that's helping the community.
It's people that probably have been incarcerated, that probably ran the streets and did things in the community that was a liability at one point, but now they assets in the community.
Sometimes when you come from certain communities, you don't have the guidance. You don't have the support.
As a young Black boy growing up in Andrew Jackson houses in the South Bronx, I was introduced to the streets at an early age. These many things that happened to me, homelessness, being impacted by gun violence, and not having my mother or my father there, I grew angry.
I learned a lot of things growing up in the projects. Selling drugs, gang banging, partying, drinking, fighting.
My past experiences are one of trauma, drugs, and all around crime. So with those ingredients, it made me a person of anger. Now, being a credible messenger, I realized that those traits actually helped me, because in the community where I'm from, that's still going on with the younger generation.
As a credible messenger, I am dealing with things from the perspective of my lived experience. I grew up in foster care since the age of 2. I started experiencing homelessness at the age of 10. When you look at my rise in the context of addressing housing and homelessness, I was built for this.
There's a saying, those who are closer to the problem are closer to the solution. We don't glorify, glamorize, or romanticize our past. We just use that as that life experience to teach in a lesson plan format to keep them from falling through the cracks. That's all we do as credible messengers.
When Credible Messenger first, came on the scene, it was more or less what we call violence interrupters. The people that's in the streets, in the trenches, when the violence happens, they go out, they talk to both parties, and they try to get the people not to retaliate or what have you. Then you have the people like myself and other organizations. We interrupt violence before it actually happens.
Our approach is to get in front of it. We believe an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure.
Neighborhood Benches is a grassroots organization started out in the Bronx in Andrew Jackson houses. We work to transform communities using credible messengers, which are neighborhood leaders. We identify neighborhood leaders, we help them understand their work and their role, and we sit down, take together and brainstorm and try to design programs that fit that specific community. If you get that one person, and that one person grabs 5, 10 people, right? Then your one person made a world of difference. Throughout the years, we've been educating the young people about the various systems that may be impacting them, educating them around food justice, educating them around mass incarceration, community violence, including gun violence. We've been distributing food, PPE, but we also build community programs. The idea is to transform community using practice-based evidences.
Credible messengers can't do it all alone. We do need powerful resources, and we need community and the country as well to stand behind us.
I think as a community, we can build a better community.
Now that was amazing. I saw that 3 days ago because I was looking at the stuff, and I was like, "You're so involved," and you can see that. Go to YouTube, trying to no YouTube, not today. Hold on, we'll get to that. That's actually the second book that we were speaking on. And it's trying to the moments to motivation, the genesis. You have a video on that. I think you went to go perform over there. Am I correct?
Yes, I think the moments, the motivation that was actually the start of the book. It came out. It was started as a thought. I was doing motivational speaking, public speaking. Is a group of maybe I did about 6 or 7 different public speaking engagements, and I needed a title, and the title came to me like, okay, I got moments to book. Now I'm doing motivation, so it just made sense from moments to motivation, and actually this snowballed into into the title of the book.
Oh wow. Yeah, that we're gonna get into that book, because you are a motivation because it's not many can say that hey, this would happen and this is why it happened and this is why I'm who I am today. And what's the inspiration behind when it comes to your creativity part? Because I know your creative process is so different. Like, what do you do? How do you cope? Do you ever have writer's block? We all want to know. I mean, half of us know how we do what we do, but when it comes to being an author and someone who does spoken word, what is your experience like?
My experience when it comes to creating, it varies, but for the most part, I do have a thing, if you will. For the first, I write standing up. So anybody that's in my house, in my circle, that witnessed me actually create from my early beginnings when I was rapping, I always stood up and walked back and forth. I always stood up. I don't know why. It just that's my comfort zone. I'm standing up. When I transition into poetry and spoken word, same difference. I stand up Usually I'm in a secluded room. Sometime now in my house, I'm in my kitchen. For some reason, kitchen is like a sanctuary. So I have my writing, my pad on the counter, and I just let the thoughts come. It comes to me like a puzzle in my head. It comes as random thoughts. As the random thoughts come, I jot them all down, and then I go back through them and I put them together. So now I don't believe one piece of poetry, one spoken word, one of the books, one of the chapters that I written was straight through. It was always bits and pieces, and I go back and put the puzzle together and create the flow of it. That's my basic creative process for all of my art, all of my writings. They all come like that. They come in the middle of the night, they come in the middle of the day. When it's time for me to actually write, when I'm what's the word? When I'm hired to do something, write something specifically, and I got a deadline,
Mm-hmm.
that writing is a little different.
Yeah.
That writing is really zoned in. I don't smoke. I don't smoke weed anymore. I drink very seldomly. So my creative process when I'm hired to do something, when I have a deadline, it's just me basically in a room playing what type of music that's gonna give me that vibe. Sometimes it's jazz, sometimes it's instrumentals, sometimes it's jazz instrumentals, sometimes it may be some good hip hop, something like I'm not sure y'all familiar with 38 Special. 38 Special is like my go-to. His his uh his
Mm-hmm.
uh his EP is called Six Shots. I listen to that over and over and repeat. Listen to some Benny the Butcher, Nas, and Jay-Z. Those are my four go-to artists when it comes to writing. And what that does is it puts I believe my poetry and my spoken word is in line with their lyrics. Like the things that they speak about is real life. And I connect with that. So listening to those artists, it fuels something in me. It takes me to another place, and it inspires me, it motivates me, and usually, that works. So that's my creative process for the most part. I haven't written with anyone as a collective, as a collaborative, collaborative work up until probably like a month ago. I have a piece called Champion that should be we actually working on. We're touching that up. It's the first piece I did with music. Even though the piece you showed, that was music put under after I did the piece. This piece was done to the music. I'm gonna put an EP out. It's dropping on Mother's Day called Third of Seven. It's gonna have 7 pieces of poetry, all to original music. So that my working with somebody, the first time I did that in years was probably about a month ago. And that process was the same. We just let the beat play, went to the studio, and I had some lines, and I created the end of it, most of it on the spot in the studio. And I'm from that era where we didn't send music to one another through email, like you had to be in the studio. So that's how I don't know no other way. I don't know how to send somebody a track and say, "Hey, put something on it," and then they send it back. Like I don't. That's not my thing. You have to be in the studio. We have to be in the studio, bonding and building and writing at that moment for that piece. And for the most part, that's my creative process.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Um, I'm actually getting to know. I'm still kind of like a little wonky about it, like actually doing the cross the border type thing, like collaborations. It's really new to me because I really don't do that. But I try to sometimes try different, things in the water. You know how they say different in different waters, different
Hmm.
temperatures. So
Right.
I try. It's very different because I'm like, oh my god, why it sound like that? I'm like, wait a second, it's a phone. So a phone and a microphone is two different things, and it's just
Right. Right.
I'm trying, I'm trying. And it's a good experience because I did it once with somebody. Shout out to Brung from the Birdhouse family. They actually support artists, such as yourself, authors and books. They, my a few community family that I have, they've been
Nice.
very
Nice.
supportive towards my career. Yeah, I will. I'm gonna introduce you to them. They're on the Clubhouse. If you have an iPhone, they're on the Clubhouse, and I think Android has it too. And I'll send you an invite. You could come. They always on every Friday, and they really dope community, and it's like a family, pretty much. It's a family, and
Nice. Nice.
QS Radio too. He's also good family too. He's a radio station that does all kind of interviews and stuff. I'll gladly get you into that as well with him. Shout out to those who have been supporting everything that we do because I've seen you in a lot of some of the showcases that I know, that I used to go to a lot. And it so happened that we met at S Rock's concert.
Right.
I was
Right.
like, okay. I was wondering what you was about to do. You really did a good job. And so, it was very
Thank you. Thank you.
intriguing. Yeah, it was very different too because I'm so used to hearing just rap, MC rapping and stuff like that. And I'm not used to a lot of poetry unless I go to my friend's events that she does in poetry. I think you know her, Kashmir, from the Heart of the Poet. I don't know if you know familiar with her.
Yes.
She
Yes.
does a
Yeah. I
lot of
don't know her personally, but I know. I know that event. Hard
yes.
poetry. I know that. Yes.
Press play, yes, press play. She does press play for poets,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's erotic poetry. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
it's very interesting. I went to a couple of her shows to actually get a taste of it, and it's very different compared to what you do. But isn't a good experience because you meet different people, different cultures,
Hmm.
and different mindsets. In your creative process, you ever came to where you had writer's block?
I used to have writer's block, but I changed my perspective. I read a book. I believe I can't remember the author, but I did a lot of reading on technique, you know, things of that nature. And the writer said something that resonated with me about writer's block. He said, writer's block is something that you believe it is. So because you write 10 lines a day and one tomorrow, doesn't mean that you got writer's block. It just means that you wrote one line today. It's a process. So once you say that you have writer's block, it's stopping you from writing versus looking at the angle of the perspective like, okay, I got 2 lines out today. Let me give it a break and I'll come back later on tonight. Let me, give it a day, I'll come back tomorrow. So with that, understand that it's a process. You'll never have writer's block. It's just a process until that piece gets done. So I don't believe in having writer's block. I write the way I write, and that's what makes me so comfortable with writing because I don't believe there's anything that can stop me. No life situation can alter me. No life situation can stop me. Everything that happens to me is in all these experiences is part of my writing. So if I don't write in 2 days and you know my dog piss on my carpet, that's an experience. How did that experience make me feel? Now I have something to write about the next day. So it's not about writer's block for me. It's just about part becoming, being in the process of writing. And I think if a lot of us, if we look at it in that fashion, we'll remove that that stigma of writer's block.
Yes, no, I agree. Um, I wouldn't call it writer's block for me. I would call it just me trying to redirect me, trying to reflect on basically what I'm actually trying to pursue when it comes to my music. So I'm really just having a conversation with myself. So I call it that
Hmm.
conversation. Let's talk
Right,
about
right,
it. That's why I put it on the podcast. Let's talk about it. So
dope. Exactly,
I
exactly.
call it that. Yeah, so it's really dope that you have that mindset when it comes to that. And especially nowadays, the industry and the politics. I know it's a lot, and you've seen the craziness ongoing in the industry. How do you see the industry today in the reflection of social media and politics?
I believe social media is the new peer pressure, and I say that
Yes.
because before, when we was growing up and when I was going through school, the peer pressure was in your face, only in your community. Wherever you traveled to and from, that was your peer pressure. Now, social media, somebody in Hawaii can basically peer pressure you into doing what they want to, doing what they think is cool, if that person influence has an influence over you. And it goes back to what they call social media influencers, right? So somebody, I'm very avid reader, and I read an interview and the guy said, okay, they're influencing people, but they're influencing to do what, right? So for me, I'm like, damn, that's true. And if I'm going to be called an influencer in any type of way, I want to make sure I influence person in a good way. So I believe social media, to go back, social media is the new peer pressure, and the politics in the industry
Hmm.
feeds off of social media. Before, you know how they say life imitates art imitates life. In this generation, I feel
Yeah.
like life is imitating art because social media is smoke and mirrors. People only show you their highlights of their life. It's 24 hours in a day, and a person will show you 15 seconds of their week. And that might have been the best 15 seconds of their week. The rest of their week might have been shit, right? But they're going to show you the best 15 seconds. So you have the best 15 seconds from 2 million people. It makes you believe that everybody has this great thing going on in life. And that spills over to the politics of the industry, because now the executives are saying, hey, listen, this is what everybody is showing. This is what everybody is talking about. Your thing need to be like this. And it usually makes people conform to what is popular. And I think that's one of the main downfalls of social media. As much great things social media has done for us, money wise, uh, life, it got a lot of people woke now. It opened up people to different worlds and different things, but it also hurt us in that same vein.
Yeah. And then I be feeling the same way. I feel like that's peer pressure myself because you got kids on there too, and it's like you got little children um that be watching, and it's like, how can you prevent from them seeing what we see? But it's so hard because all you can do for my kids on my side, I have to make sure I just don't show them that. Like, I could prevent it, but then again, I can't because they're gonna get older and they're growing, and I get all that. But if I can, I try my best to redirect their eyesight when it comes to visualizing anything off the internet because my kids like to ask a lot of questions.
Yes, 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 yes,
And
definitely.
I just don't want to be that. They're not ready for that. They're not ready for that to really know at the moment because they're young. So,
Hmm.
and it's very disturbing sometimes to even explain to them the crap that we see, and it's like, just don't do it. That's all I'm saying.
Right,
Just don't
right,
do
right.
it. Don't do it. I don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. And writing a book, I used to write. I had wrote a story, and it kind of reminded me of when I first started writing. And when I say that is, I wrote a book and I stopped. I don't know why. I stopped. And I think it's only because when I wrote it, somehow my laptop just erased the whole thing.
Mm,
And I lost everything. And I
heartbreaking.
was so mad because I took like a whole month writing a whole chapter. Okay.
Mm,
So, and then for it to just erase, it was just like my heart just dropped. And I felt like, oh my gosh. But then I thought about it. I had it in my head the whole time. It really did not erase, you know. And for the system writing and actually getting it out there, I give it to you because that's a lot. And I'm a writer myself. I love writing like hands on.
right.
And I actually was reading this book. That's what intriguing with your book. I was reading this book. It's called Learning to Love Myself. And it's by Alex Morvey. I don't know if you heard of it, but it's a really good book. And that book right there helped me get through my growth because I was dealing with everything experiences. I never went through the same situation with through how you did, but I did experience a lot of discrimination.
Mm,
I did experience a lot of bullying. I did experience a lot of abuse. I did experience a lot of things that it's hard to speak upon because you got this society right now where you, like yourself, is being that mentor, that guidance, that person to go to for inspiration because you are a walking inspiration. I hope you know that. And to know that you just say, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. What do I got to lose when I already lost and that's a win for me. Your losses
that's
were your win.
that's so
Yes.
true. That's so true. I definitely feel like what I've been through. One, I owe my, I say, only person I owe is I owe two people. Right, I owe my past self to become better than I was, and I owe it to the person I am now to become better. Like that's what I feel when you're talking about motivation, inspiration, and being better than. Right, I only compete. My only competition is the person in the mirror. It's cliche-ish, but it's the truth. And for me, it's belief like that that keeps me going. It's definitely hard. I go through hardships. I go through my ups, go through my downs. But at the same time, understanding that them hardships are making me a better person. It gives me different perspectives. It pushes me to become better, become greater, becomes a pushes me to become a greater thinker. It pushes me to have more patience. A lot of times I want to punch people in the face, right? I have a urge to do something, do bodily harm to somebody, but understanding that bodily harm, something I do to somebody, what is it gonna do for me, right? Outside of giving me most likely some more time,
Yeah.
and that's not really what I want in my life, and I don't want to bring harm, hurt to someone else's life. That's not what I'm here for, and understand that is one of the things that keep me on the up and up, keep me going on the straight path. I just understand that it's going to rain. It's not, I got a program, it's in the book, it's in my second book. It's called the umbrella effect. Now, the umbrella effect, understanding that it's going to rain one day. It's not if it rain, right? It's when it rain. When it rain, who will you have in your corner to protect you from that rain? Who will be your umbrella? And understand that I have a lot of pieces in place to be my umbrella. People that support me when it rains, when it storms, people I could go to, people that could tell me, listen, that's not the right move to make. Like, I got rid of all the yes men in my life for the most part. So I have people that tell me the hard truth. I have people that give me tough love, people that pour into me to make me better. So when I pour into others, it's something great. So I understand that, the hardships come, but I also know that only way to get to the mountaintop or to reach success is one step at a time. As long as I get up every morning and make that one step, I'll get closer to whatever it is my goal is. I believe that not.
What is um that is something I'm glad you said that because not a lot of people believe that, and it's like how can we go from where we at to now and then you're leading by example because this is what I tell everybody, lead by example.
Hmm.
Don't mean to cut you off. Leading by example. You just said the key words because a lot of people don't see that about themselves. And the fact that you are reaching out to the youth, you're a mentor. Like, how is that going for you in terms of you got a program for the youth, I believe, right? Like, that you're in. And like, tell us more about that. Like, this is very interesting. Welcome in who just joined in. The Voices of an Artist, Bossy Bean. Got a very dear friend here, and he's an artist. Okay, he does poetry and he's an author, but he's a spoken word poet. So I hope y'all enjoy. We're about to get into it. If you want to reach back to the other clips, you'll be happy to see this afterwards because it gets deep conversations. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And this is David Hopper. He's really dope. I met him through S Rock. Shout out to S Rock again. At his concert, and he's really a really dope person. His books are out. I'm actually going to share them on my page for them to try to get a hold of them because I actually have my coffee. Okay. But when it comes to the youth, like, what are some of the programs that you are in at this moment?
Um, right now, we have a nonprofit organization named Nana's Living Room. Nana's Living Room is an organization that teaches youth and young adults film and photography using experiential learning. What is experiential learning? It's basically giving them the tools to work with that from experience. So we're working to get the youth and the young adults to change their own narrative. A lot of times we hear how quote unquote bad the kids are. Right? I don't believe in they're bad kids. I just believe there's kids with a lot of energy that don't know where to put that energy. So what we do is we bring them in. We not only use the camera, teach them the camera and teach them film and photography, but we also use that tool. We use the camera as a tool to combat violence. So we can tell the kids, hey, put the guns down. Hey, don't be on the corners hanging out. But okay, what else? What other options do they have? So our option is Nana's Living Room. Come in, learn the camera, learn the trade, um, learn what mentoring is. So we have also something called Train the Trainer, where we also train the youth to become mentors, right? Because it's not just coming hanging out with the kids; it's actually pouring into them, instilling in them values, right? How to be self-love, how to love themselves, because a lot of times we don't love ourselves, right? How can we love somebody else if we don't love ourselves? So that's one of the main things that we use the cameras for, because we show them, okay, you take care of the equipment, because a lot of times we say, listen, you can't use the equipment if you show that you're not going to take care of it. So that automatically changes their mindset. Like, okay, I'm gonna take care of it because they want to use it. Something like the way you take care of this camera, the way you're supposed to take care of yourself. And then we have different techniques and different ways to talk to the kids and connect to the kids. And we deal with youth from second grade all the way up to 21. So, we have 4 different programs. We have conflict resolution workshops. We have train the trainers, which is showing the other youth how to mentor. We also have taught therapy, where we have the elders and the young people sit down and just vibe. Like, a lot of times in our community, people think of therapy as taboo. Like, I'm not going no therapy. Nobody, I ain't need no therapy. But not understand that therapy is only thing therapy is talking and getting different perspective from somebody that's unbiased. Like, you're not going to your homeboy that has the same views as you. You say, yo, I want to smack this dude. They're like, word, son, yeah, you should smack him. No, you're going to talk to somebody that actually listening, that's unbiased, that's neutral. When you say you want to smack somebody, you go, well, why do you want to smack the person, right? And you get to the bottom of that. And a lot of times, once they talk, they talk and they say it out loud, they realize, like, oh, nah, that wasn't really about nothing. I don't need to go to violence. So those are the things that we use Nan's Living Room for, is really being in the community, being a part of the community, and just working to make the community, make the youth see that there's greatness within inside them.
Yeah, that's amazing because you also produced it and directed a number of short films and TV shows and podcasts and radio shows. Um, and that falls into when you did alternative in high school assistance and learning the way to the business, I believe. And that right there shows it all. And then being a mentor, that's in fostering relationships to assist their growth and development is just like, whoa. That's a lot of strength. A lot of strength. And that has to come from somewhere. And that's coming from you being able to grow it yourself. You have to learn yourself in order to want to be that type of person to be inspiring,
Right.
and actually want to fulfill those type of dreams and giving people hope because there's always hope. Just don't lose it. A lot of people lose a lot of
Correct.
hope too
Yeah.
fast. And I get it, I get it. But we here. Let's get into the second book that you have produced out, and tell us a little bit more about that book, transitioning to the one that you have called Moments. So, get into what's the inspiration with that one? What is it?
Moments to motivation.
Motivation,
Yeah,
motivation.
moments to motivation.
With that, yes. Technical difficulty. He'll be right back. Give him a second. Oh, there we go. He's back.
Yeah, I don't know what
I
happened.
love technology. Welcome back.
Yeah. I was in the chat. I was
Yeah,
trying to
because
go back
guess what?
to the chat. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's over.
I've been trying to
Yeah,
work
so
my camera to turn on for like the last 2 months. So trust me, technology has been really being a pain in the butt. So I can't wait to get my new laptop because it's not gonna be happening.
right.
But yes, let's get into your book. Hmm.
Yeah, so Moments to Motivation is the second book I authored. That book, the subtitle was A Guide to Enlightenment Through Essays and Poetry. With that book, I use that book as just like the subtitle, A Guide to Enlightenment. And the way I do that is through essays. I have approximately, I believe, I can't remember off the top, but I believe it's about 3 or 4 essays, and I know it's 6 or 7 poems, and then in between that to weave it together are questions and resources and worksheets. We have something in there. We ask the reader, how do you want to be eulogized, right? Because a lot of times we be out here in these streets and we just running, right? We just running, either if it's illegal or legal, we just running to get to the bag. We're looking for success. We're trying to leave a legacy, right? But in that race, we're not thinking about once the race is over. Once you're laid to rest, what are people going to say about you? When that time comes, what are people going to say about you? And I ask that question because that's something that's going to hopefully make the reader stop and really think about their lives. And be like, damn, what will somebody say of me, say about me, at in my eulogy? And for me, that's one of the biggest questions somebody can actually answer if you're being real with yourself, right? And that's what the book is about, just really hoping and helping people tap into themselves. And it goes back to that mental health, right? Where we want to promote a healthy mental state, right? Because a lot of times, like I said, it's just about getting to the bag, especially in this day and age. It's just about get to the bag, get to the bag, get to the bag. You hear all this legacy talk on social media, like not understanding or not realizing that if you have a child, that's your legacy. So how are you going to build and pour into that legacy? How are you going to make it better, right? It's not just you have a child, now I'm trying to build $1 million business, right? You have your $1 million business in your child, pour into them. And these are the things that we talk about in the book. And it came about just because, like I said earlier, I was doing speaking engagements and I needed a title. And since I had the first book called Moments, I said, well, my speaking engagement is going to be about motivation. So I said, okay, we're taking the book Moments and we going to motivation. So Moments to Motivation is basically the title of my speaking engagements, and then it morphed into an actual book. And I think I believe this book is more, it's not better than my first book, but it's more intentional. Because my first book was written out of selfishness, to be truthful. I wrote that book with 3 other people. And when I was writing the book, the other two people actually decided they didn't want to write. They didn't want people to know them personally. So they told me, just go ahead and continue to write, just write my own story. So I wrote the story and I'm like, oh yeah, once I write this, I'm on, back again. I was chasing my own dream. But as I was writing it, I was like, yo, I can actually use this to help people. And that's how the first book came about. So the second book, I started writing it with the intention to help others. So that's the difference between the two books. And Moments to Motivation, the second book, is definitely from the first page about motivation. Like the first page, once you open it up, it opens up with a quote. Not a quote, but a statement. Actually, a Bible verse. It say, "We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed; perplexed, but not in despair; persecuted, but not abandoned; struck down, but not destroyed." And that's from 2 Corinthians 4, verse 8 and 9, which means basically everything that we've been through, we've been stepped on, we've been persecuted, we've been, left out, ostracized, but we will not be defeated. Our faith will not waver. We still believe in ourselves. And that's how the book starts. And from that point all the way through, the book is about motivation, motivating yourself, motivating other people, and helping others get to that enlightenment point.
Yeah, that's wow. And in that aspect of that time, what is your favorite part about being a writer?
The completion of anything, any piece I do. The hardest, the easiest part is starting. The hardest part is finishing, and the best part is actually seeing it completed. That's my favorite part. Actually sitting down and saying, "Oh wow, this is I created this." Like it's you created something from a thought to fruition, and it's actual tangible. Like you actually can touch it. Like this is mine. I created this. That's the best part of it. And then from the second part of that is it's something that's it's not made, it's not junk. It's actually helping others. So that is really the best part of it. I love that about it.
How important are book reviews to you?
Not important at all. I use book reviews as content. I don't really care what they say though. I usually like I got some bad book reviews. Not bad, just not in my favor. One it's like my favorite review because I started using it. That's when I started using this content. I took 50 Cent approach. So like you're not gonna use
Mhm.
something you don't like about me to bring me down. I'm gonna use it to help me. So I start posting. I said, hey, do you agree with these people? Do you agree with this? Do you agree with this review? Did you read the book? Did you agree with this? And this starts getting traction. So I don't book reviews for me mean nothing. There's just more or less content. No matter what they say, it's not gonna change how I write. The only person that the only people that can review my book and it actually make a difference is the people after before I write it. So it's my wife, my son, one of my oldest best friends, and his mom. His mom's is a published author. She got over 20 books written. She's a copy editor. So she reads my stuff and she be like, the flow is off. This is off. Like, that's the only, and that's not even a review, that's a critique. So after it's done and it's in the world, I can care less, truthfully.
Shout out to wifey. Because I know I'm the same way with my babe. I'm the same way. It's different. Relationships are important, especially with yourself, but also with a partner that can support you
Hmm.
in anything that you do genuinely, because not many can do that. And I was speaking about this, about relationships, not only business relationships, but the partner that you are trying to pursue this lifelong adventures and memories with. It's important to have that bond with them, and having that support where it's like they're the only ones. It's either God or them is the only ones could be like, okay, you need to step your game up because
Right.
that they're the only two. How is she doing with you having this career and then her learning about you even more and more? Because I'm pretty sure it's a learning experience for her every day, even though she already knows. It's something for her to look forward to experiencing with you, especially telling your story. Not only your
Hmm.
story, I don't really consider it a story. I call it a life journey,
Right.
and how
Right.
is she doing? Shout out to wifey.
She's good. She's good. Um, it it's funny because me and one of my best friend and I, we both he did 10 years in federal prison. And I did 7 in New York State prison. He did his 10 before me. He came home, then I did 7. And both our spouses, like he was telling me, like, yo, she like, oh, you so soft, you're a sweetheart, And he laughed. He like, yo, you have no idea who who I am, or who I was, who I can be. And my wife is the same thing. I tell him like we had to talk, and my wife like, "Oh, you such a sucker. You're a sucker for love, right?" She joking, but it's some seriousness in there. But the thing is, I love you because it's you, right? I love her because it's her. So I think a lot of times when guys have a checkered past, even women, right? They they break that mold, and we become these new people, right? We're now this butterfly. They didn't know us as the morph, right? They just see us as this. beautiful butterfly, and it's hard for them to even fathom us as that morph. Like, nah, you wasn't like that. I'm like, yes, I was. So when she read the book, she was there when I was writing it, but when she actually read it in full, she was like, damn, I didn't realize it was, because you get everything in that concise, in that compact matter, versus a story here versus a story there, some life journeys. When you reading the book and she's looking at me, going back in the chapter, looking at me, going back in the chapter, looking at me, and she's like, oh shit. Like, I didn't know it was like that, right? So I had her, my sister-in-law, like, something, they was actually crying when they read the book. They're like, oh, I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm like, that's my life. That's what it is. It's okay, you know. But for her to understand me from that perspective, it changed her perspective now, where she understands why sometimes uh I can be introvert, I can be closed, right? I need my space sometimes. So she understands that. And it was hard learning me as we was becoming a couple, right? Because when we was just girlfriend, boyfriend, it was like, hey, okay, I see you tomorrow, I see you next week. Now once we moved in together, we got married, it's dealing with me every day. And once you really never learn a person to the full extent, you continue to learn the person. And as we grow in our relationship and our marriage, we continue to learn and grow one another. Learn and grow and grow and learn one another. And I think that's one of the greatest parts of being married, of having a partner, is learning them. Because yesterday she might have liked spaghetti and meatballs. Today she's like, I don't really like red sauce no more, right? So these are the things in real life, in real time, that you go through. And I would have, I'm glad I'm going through these things with her. I'm learning, she's learning me, I'm learning her. So when it comes to the books, the writings, and just me as a person doing the programs and everything, having her on my side, having the person of understanding actually works. It helps me, because I couldn't imagine me doing all of this stuff and you come home and your spouse is looking at you like, oh, you going outside again? Oh, who you was with, right? Those kind of things. Because I know people that have them kind of relationships, and either one or two things gonna happen. They're gonna
Yeah,
stop they're gonna stop living their dream, or they're gonna leave the person, right? So to have that person understand your drive, your passion, and your mission, and be on board with it, that's 100%. That's a dope thing.
that really is. Shout out to her. It takes a lot. It takes a genuine person with a good heart to take that time to want to understand you.
Hmm.
And I too learn about my husband, and I learned a lot on his past and everything he's become, and I'm still learning. It's good,
Right.
and I don't care. I love it. I love to learn different things about him, because men do go through a lot, and a lot of people, a lot of women have this thing where like, oh, men ain't shit. Da, 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 da. Like, no, it's no. That's little girl shit. That's why I don't speak to little girls. I speak to women.
Right.
I
You're right.
don't got time for that. When a woman will tell you straight up what it is and how it is, and this is like we here together, and that's what you need. You don't need someone who's on that kid level where it's like it's about them, and they expect it to be just about them. No, it's a two-way street. Men go
Right.
through it too.
Definitely.
I don't, and if I got some bitter ladies watching, I really don't care. I'm just telling you, men go through their shit, and you need to understand it's when your man is going through something, your significant other's going through something, it's important for you to be there for them as much as you want them to be there on the intimate, sensitive side. You have to also have it too. It's not just one sided. I hate when they put that experience, and I don't care.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
they some bitter ones are watching and they unfollowing me and talking shit. I really don't give a fuck.
Right, right.
So shout out to the real men like yourself and my husband. When it comes to publishing, did you self-publish or did you go to a traditional publishing route? And if you did, why?
Thank you. That's a great question. That's a great segue to my third book. Um, I did everything self-published. Self-publishing, why I did it is why most rappers and music, artists do it nowadays is just to keep your publishing, to keep all to have control of your art. And that for me, that's one of the biggest things. Once you go to a publisher, they basically read it, rewrite it, know, red pen it. This is gonna work. This won't work, which sometimes is good, right? It's not, it's not a knock to people that go to traditional
Mm,
publishing. If you can go, salute to everybody that does and who has and who
mm,
can. But for me, it just more or less. I'm not waiting. I'm not a. Um, my brother always say, "Stay patient is for hospitals," right? So I'm like, I'm not staying patient for no one. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm going to, I'm not putting my destiny in nobody else's hands. I'm going to write it in the time that I'm going to write it. I'm going to promote it the way I'm going to promote it. Now, somebody can help me promote it, help me market it. But when it comes to actually publishing it, I'm going to publish it myself unless somebody's talking some nice numbers that doesn't interfere with my integrity. And that's one of the reasons, that's the main reason I self publish because I can self publish, right? And I also teaching others how to self publish and do that within 30 days. And that's one of the things, that's who I am. I'm helping people, right? I'm mentoring. I'm that guiding light for the people that's in the dark. And I can't tell somebody to, how you said earlier, like, oh, pretty much people capping. For me, like, I can't sell you a course. I can't tell you, hey, you can write a book, you can self-publish, and I never did it before. That don't make sense, right? I did it twice, well, three times, twice for myself, once for somebody else. So I know it works, and I'm showing people, hey, listen, you can do it too. And the person that gave me the game to do it, that was one of the things. He said, listen, if I give it to you, if I give you these jewels, you have to pay it forward. You can't hold on to it. And I have to keep to my promise. I have to pay it forward. I have to give people the information. And I believe everybody should write a book. Everybody should tell their journey, put a light on their journey, because you never know how your journey will help somebody else's journey.
and to that, oh my God, I'm glad you said that because, it's scary thought to having to, that's why I tell people everything, the reason why we are called independent artists is because everything is an investment of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different ways to invest in yourself. You don't really necessarily have to go to someone to actually publish anything. Because now technology has gives you that option to do self-serve. So, which is really dope. And a lot of people be like, oh, I don't want to do it. But that's another way in growth in the business. This is to teach you as an artist to
Yep.
learn how to self-invest in yourself. And that's an accomplishment in one because it's like you can say, hey, I did that. Nobody gave it to me.
Yep. Exactly. I think that's one of the things too. People sometimes people I met and talking to people, doing mentorships, just having conversations with people, the the fear of actually putting the work in. They like, oh, it's a lot of work. What if I put all this work in and it doesn't work? Or I do all these steps and nothing happens. So my goal is to remove them barriers of fear by being that person, they can look at them like, oh no, he did it. And look at my beginnings. I did 7 years in prison. I was dyslexic as a youth, right? I didn't finish high school. Um, Single parent, was homeless, got burnt out, had two apartment fires, uh, had my first child at 17. All these obstacles, right? And I'm standing here doing public speaking, mentoring, doing conflict resolution workshops, all off a book that I wrote from thoughts. So if I can do it, it's no reason why somebody else can't do it.
Amen to that. Because there is no excuse, okay? I freaking walk with a cane and I still get my ass up to do what I gotta do. Like that's what I
Salute,
tell
right?
people. If you felt like you want to give up and you felt like this, that, and third, just take me as example in terms of every day I go through my shit. You know, I have arthritis, I have a muscular disorder, and when the weather changes, it fucks me up really bad, like really bad.
Hmm.
But I still get up. I
Right.
still go. I still push myself no matter the pains and the bullshit I gotta deal with when it comes to physically, and I still get up.
Hmm.
There is
Hmm.
no way in how you can say that, you have the struggle of doing what you gotta do for yourself. That's especially this is the passion that you
That's
want.
right. That's right. Yep.
And then you, for an example, they could look at you as an example too. They don't allow your past to dictate your future. That
Hmm.
could automatically give you a strong motivation to push yourself to say, "Hey, this is not it. That wasn't me back then.
Right.
That wasn't me. That will never be me again. But I am here today to help you prevent yourself from being that person I used to be. Because the
Definitely.
devil
That's one
comes
of the.
in
Mhm.
many forms.
That's right.
Hmm.
That's one of my things I tell. That's one of my openings when I talk to the youth is, and people ask me, what do I do? I say I use my past to help the youngest future, and that's basically what I do in a nutshell. And I thank you for giving me the platform. But I see that it's close to 9:30. I don't want to rush off, but I definitely
No, no, no,
want.
no, no. I got you. It's okay. We gotta do what we gotta do.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's been really super dope to really talk to you, have a conversation. And anytime, you're welcome. You're welcome here. You can come and like, oh, just hit me up like, hey, yo, I got this shit going on. Post this on my page. I do free promo. As you've seen,
definitely.
I've been posting everywhere. Like, it's like,
Yes, I see. Yes, you're
and
definitely
yeah, it's
active.
been really
I appreciate it. So I'm
yes,
definitely thank you,
definitely.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let people know, where else
Mhm,
they can find me at, where to find the books, and then I send you a flyer because we do monthly meetings, which is called neighborhood forums. We have these neighborhood forums up in Harlem, and they're also online.
mhm,
What we're doing is building a new campaign. I didn't get a chance to talk about that. We just got a bill passed, uh, signed and passed by Governor Hochul to give individuals that survive violence reimbursement funds for hospital
mhm,
bills, car fare, um, moving expenses, things of that nature. So what happened is if a person that survived violence, somebody is robbed, shot, assaulted, and they use their own money for hospital bills, uh, car fare, whatever the case, they are entitled to that money back in New York State. But people don't know that. So what we did was we fought before we created the bill, and we got the bill passed over the uh over the winter last year. Governor Hochul actually signed the bill. It goes into effect January 2025. But now individuals that survive violence, they actually get their reimbursement funds without talking to police, without talking to the people in Albany. All you gotta do is fill out the paperwork, which they can get from their primary care physician, a clergyman, a community-based organization, they can get reimbursement funds. So now to this year, we're doing a new campaign and we're talking to the community to find out what issues we need, they need help with that we can help them attack. So our neighborhood forums is every fourth Wednesday. And that's basically what we talk about. We bring the community in and we hear from the community. Listen, what do y'all need help with? What do y'all think that we should be helping y'all with? It's not us, the organization, coming to tell the community what they need. It's more the community telling us what they need and we helping them with that. So I seen a flyer to that and keep you abreast of those meetings as well.
Amen to that. And last but not least, what important advice would you give a first-time author? And we'll close it with that.
What you said? What you said? What advice I would give a first-time
important
author?
advice would you give? Yeah.
The most important advice I think I would give a first-time author was finish the book. There's no other better advice, I don't think. Finish it. And nowadays, you can write, and I'm telling y'all, people that's listening, people that's watching, people that's going to watch it later, you can write a 10-page book and bust it down to a 5x7 pamphlet. It's a book, right? It's your thoughts. Just complete it. Complete it. My advice is complete it, complete it, complete it, complete it. I don't care if your grammar is messed up. I don't care if it doesn't make sense. As you're writing it, just write it. And when it say it's the end, it's a completion. You can go back and edit it later. Just complete it. That's the biggest advice. Get to the end. Get to the end. That's the biggest advice for me. Get to the end.
Amen to that. It's been super real. Like, you've been like super awesome. You're welcome here anytime. Like I said, just
Thank
keep
you.
bringing all your stuff to me and I'll post it for you. And can't wait to share everybody your stuff even more. I'm gonna actually share the links to your book so they can go and retrieve it, because I'm gonna go finish reading my book after we speak, because I'm telling you, I was getting into it. I was like, and then my husband's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I got audiobooks, so
Oh
Prime
yeah,
giving me
yeah,
these
yeah,
books.
yeah.
Yes, it's the best to get. I highly recommend it. So
Definitely.
I'll be reading, and I'm gonna go read finish reading my chapters. Okay, and I enjoyed myself with you. Thank you so much for coming here. You've been such a great company here, and I can't wait to learn more. Just like I said, hit me up anytime.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. For those who's listening, y'all can follow me on Instagram at that's IAM David _unstoppable. I am David, IAMDAVID _unstoppable on Instagram. That's my main page. From there, you can find all my other works, my films, books, my organization. Everything flows from my Instagram. I am David _unstoppable. Thank you so much. Appreciate you for giving me the opportunity and the platform to share my journey.
Amen to that. No problem. Thank you. We'll talk to you later, y'all. I'm about to put this little skit up before we leave. Well, you can leave. Go ahead, head out, and I'm gonna play this skit for y'all. It's a little old spoken word that I came across. This young lady, actually, that came across on Instagram. She's really dope. I love her style and everything she does, and I've been really been inspired by her, so I hope y'all enjoy. Her name is, I'll tell you right now, her name is Sierra Chantel. Sierra Chantel is her name, and I actually got these little skits that you guys heard in the beginning about her. She's very fluent, very on point when it comes to her her way with words and women empowerment. She actually is just another symbol of women empowerment. And I feel her spoken word, it's very true. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Until then, here we go. And I catch y'all later.
Ready or not, here they come. Here they run. Here is where the wild women raise more than just sons. How dare you suggest the women have yet to arrive? From the streets and slums of their resilience lies weightlifters who create triumphant stories out of steel bars. With memoirs of truth-telling and court-side scars, ready or not, she is the strongest muscle in any body who surrounds her. From dusk to dawn daily, they tenaciously ride on the green lawns and over the inequitable pawns that Coco Gauff continues trailblazing. These are not dolls. You cannot position one for failure when their backbones are the mere base for balancing beams. The world, it seems, is no match for an impact like Juju, Naomi, Caitlin, Angel, or Aaron Jackson. Don't be dramatic. Given the conditions, given the scrimmage, given the title for the most U.S. Olympians, how could you believe their competition was ever manned? The stats said it to be true. Ready or not, here, they've always been. But they're no longer waiting on you. Thief that's here to steal your ignorance. An informative bandit. Now hand me that bag. Hand me that horse and carriage of a dream you desire but won't aspire to really see through. See you still smitten over make-believes. Wake up and smell the roses. You ought to taste the leaves and find your way back to the grapevine. Find your truth before you find your tomb and they bury you in that costume. Ain't no class clowns underground. Ain't nobody to lie to. So inhale and unveil yourself, although blackmail you and called it building character. Misery loves company and you married her. I am an interesting kind of thief that's here to steal your ignorance. An informative bandit. Now hand me that baggage. Hand me that horse and carriage of a dream you desire but won't aspire to really see through. See you still smitten over make-believes. Wake up and smell the roses. You ought to taste the leaves and find your way back to the grapevine. Find your truth before you find your tomb and they bury you in that costume. Ain't no class clowns underground. Ain't nobody to lie to. So inhale and unveil yourself, although blackmail you and called it building character. Misery loves company and you married her.
Prepared for a new music transformation, and in a moment you transport to this place. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hi, I'm Bossy V. You're now tuning in to Voices of an Artist.